I like Swordsman. I like Swordsman VR. You could almost say that I love the game. Well, you could say that I love the game. Because I do. I love Swordsman VR. It's a great VR game and it plays very well, it looks really good, and the updates just keep on coming. We just not too long ago got the ranged update, which introduced us to the recurve bow, longbow, and crossbow, and with this also coming new enemies that also uses the bow, recurve bow. This was a great update. It came with very little bugs. I play tested it. It worked really well. The release was really good. Few issues, but those were fixed very quickly. And with that, I actually got a surprise from from the developers. I was in the beta testing the game. I came up with feedback, and I gave responses to this and that. And you could ask, how much do you love Swordsman VR? Well, I have Swordsman VR on PlayStation 4. The physical edition of PlayStation 4, pre-ordered that, and I also have the Quest 2 version, and now I also have the PC version. Now, I did get the PC version for free because I got a code for that after the beta, but that's not what matters here. What matters is I got the PC version. I was planning on buying the PC version, but I hadn't gone around to it, so yeah, here we are. So I got the PC version of Swordsman VR and I have the other editions. So I wondered, what is the difference between PC and Quest 2? Is there a big difference between the two, or where are we? Well, looking graphically, a quick look graphically, they look pretty much the same in many aspects, at least to me, but this is just I didn't go in depth on how they look this time around. I was mostly focused on gameplay things. And gameplay wise, they. It's hard to tell really. I think they function really well. Both versions, of course, both versions, all three versions, both PS4, PC, and Quest 2 works really well. They handle very well on their respective platforms. As for PC version playing on a Quest 2, yeah, no issues. I mean, the headset is the one bringing the screen, or the look. But gameplay wise, it's your computer handling the physics and the enemies, the weapons, and all that. So yeah, it worked really well. I can't argue against that. As for which one worked better, if the Quest 2 version worked better or the PC version, as I played on the same platform technically, well, they worked pretty much the same again. Now, physics-wise, I think the PC might have handled a little bit better. Now, I did play this using the Quest Link, not a cable, but the wireless head link, or whatever it's called. I think it's called Quest Link. When you connect your Quest 2 to your PC and then you play PC VR games on the Quest 2. Yeah, so I did that, and yeah, it works without any issues, at least for me. And the biggest problem I had with PC is recording actually on PC while playing VR games, but I think I got that fixed now. Oh well. Uh, After playing on PC and then switching over to Quest 2 today, well, no issues really. It didn't give me a big difference gameplay wise because it handled the same. Now I did, as you might notice in the gameplay, I did have a issue with me being too tall, but apparently the floor level that I had set to my floor had dropped a little bit, so it was like a foot below my actual floor, so I became taller because of that. Not sure why or how, but yeah. I managed to fix that easily enough when I discovered the problem, so after that it was much easier to play actually. It was difficult to play when being so much taller than the enemy, for some reason. Now, the main and biggest difference between the two versions, between all three versions I would say. Now of course I haven't played the PlayStation 5, I guess that's the only version I don't own, but technically that's just PS4 but upgraded. I think they have haptic feedback in that as well, so that's impressive, but I don't have a PlayStation 5, so that's, oops, undo that. Now, as for the PlayStation 4 version, the difference between PlayStation 4, PC and Quest 2, the biggest difference to me is the Sandbox mode. Because Sandbox mode on PC lets you spawn in 6 enemies, 4 weapons, and 6 props. On the PlayStation 4 and Quest version, you can only spawn in, let's see, 3 enemies, 2 weapons, and 4 props. So that is the biggest difference to me. So on PC you can fight 6 of the same boss if you like. Now they will attack one at a time, but that would, I gotta try. I will definitely do a video of that, me fighting 6 bosses basically at the same time. But what I want to go get around to is that, yeah, the PC can handle this. I'm not sure the PlayStation 4 could handle 6 enemies at the same time, but I'm thinking, why can't the Quest 2 handle this on its own hardware? I would think it could, but even if it can't handle 6, maybe 4 or 5? I don't know. But that was the biggest difference, and that is pretty significant because it makes Quest, or it makes the PC version a little bit more fun in the Sandbox mode. If you can have spawning more enemies and you can have spawning more weapons. Now the weapons you can only carry 3 weapons. 1 in left, 1 in right, and 1 on your back. And while being a bit too tall, I had problem with actually putting the weapons on my back. Yeah. Anyway. That is the biggest difference to me, because it could be more fun in the Sandbox mode on PC than in the other versions. Now, if anyone here owns the PlayStation 5 and Swordsman VR on that, please let me know what the limit is in Sandbox mode there, because I have no idea. Now, another interesting thing about the PC version was the lighting, I think, because I think the lighting might be better than the Quest 2. I didn't check too closely there as well, but graphically they look pretty much the same, but the lighting could be different. Could be. And while I was in the Sandbox mode, I did some experimentation for PC to check if there was any other differences. For example, I spawned a prop, those target props, and then I tried placing a enemy NPC on it, but unfortunately the enemy just fell through that, which I think is a shame, because I would like to be able to place the enemy on one of those things, like a chair kind of thing. I did try that on Quest 2, didn't work there as well. Apples are physical objects though. The apples are physical objects. Another thing I tried was looking at the gravity settings, because in Sandbox you can change the gravity, either have it at the normal 100%, or you can increase the gravity to 200%, or you can decrease it to 0%. 0% is basically is basically space. If you're out in outer space, there's no gravity at all. Now that one made for quite the weird look. Now I also noticed that the increased gravity actually does affect arrows. Not as much as I would expect, But if you're using arrows and a bow or bolt, the arrow will actually start dropping quite early if you have increased gravity. So that is an interesting observation and a good detail. I like that. A very nice detail. Now let's see, was there anything else I noticed? Oh yeah! Activating Doomfist now actually makes your sword strikes much more powerful. Yeah, basically a god strike with your sword. They said they would do that, but I didn't know they had actually implemented that. Same goes for arrows. They are actually, if you activate Doomfist and then shoot an arrow, or basically strike them with an arrow if you're holding in the arrow in your hand, or striking someone with a bow, it activates the Doomfist. Before it was only using fists, but now they have actually made it so that it also applies to weapons and arrows, which is awesome. It's really cool. I shot an enemy with an arrow and he just flew away. I was like, why? Why did you do that? Oh, wait, right, Doomfist. Okay, cool. I had just activated Doomfist, so I knew it was on, but I didn't know that arrows actually counted for that. So that was a cool discovery. Now, is there anything else? Oh yeah, speaking the Doomfist thing, yeah, it's also on Quest 2, not only on PC. I should mention that. Yeah, there isn't much to say about the difference between Quest 2 and PC just now. I'm gonna look more closely into it, see what I can discover. But yeah, for now, there isn't much difference except for the sandbox mode, which could be like either you buy it on PC or you buy it on Quest 2, because if you own a Quest 2, I would actually say that the PC version could be a more tempting buy because of that. Because of the sandbox mode having a bit more freedom or a bit more settings to it, make it more fun with more enemies and such. Actually, I think the PC version could be superior in that way, but keep in mind that you would have to use a Quest link to connect to your PC wirelessly or with a wire or cable. Now, this isn't a bad thing per se, but keep that in mind, especially if you're using a cable, because you will want to have a long cable that can go from your PC to your headset. And if you're using wirelessly, well, keep in mind not to be too far away from your computer because the connection. I myself had no problems with the connection, but I'm also just a few feet away in the room next to my PC, so yeah, I have no issues with connection. But yeah, that's all I got for you in this Swordsman VR video. What are your thoughts on PC, Quest, and PlayStation 4 versions of Swordsman? Do you own Swordsman? Please let me know in the comments. Speak freely about Swordsman VR in this video. I've been Swippin92, have a great life, and I hope to see you in future videos. Bye bye!